Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another very useful mod. This one sitting right next to me is called the Small Helm, which is a 1x1x1 sized helm with all the functionalities, all the controls of the regular helm, just in a tiny compact form. Perfect for a really small compact fighter, a small exploration rover, or even just for a tiny one thruster ship to scoot you around in one of the most minimalistic ways possible. Just grabbing hold of my character, coming around like so. This is what it is compared to the standard helm block on a small block grid. So as you can see, it's absolutely tiny, with the only problem being it is slightly too high off the ground, so you will have to place half blocks underneath it, unless you want to have the engine edges hovering slightly off the ground. So first of all, coming into this helm, like so, bring the free camera all the way over, that's simply what it looks like, all fine and dandy. Then you have to grab hold of once again, come off this, come around to this one, hop onto it, with the free camera once again. That's simply what it looks like. So it grabs hold of the stick, grabs hold of the thruster controls, and just hovers slightly off the ground there, but it's almost perfect with having a half block underneath him. And that's all it does. It's simply a very space conscious version of the standard helm, but it's only available for the small block grids, and it does come with a few other problems in the form of clipping, depending on where you put it. But first of all, grabbing hold of my character once again, moving away from this, pressing G, finding it in here, the cost of the small helm is considerably less than the actual standard helm, and there it is right there. It's simply one less display, and then 15 less on the computer's structure components and interior plates, which makes it extremely easy to build, and well, to use on basically your first vehicle ever in survival mode. As for that, with the free camera coming all the way up to it, let's get a closer look at this before we go through a few more examples and a few more bits of detail. So looking all the way down like so, we've got a bunch of lights, lots of little knobs for you to play around with, your joystick, your little controls for your thrusters, and all the way over to there, a little sign that says Type A, and it does have a small barcode with a couple numbers going all the way across it. Up to there's your little LCD screen that's going to be displaying whatever you want to have displayed on there, such as scripts, artificial horizon, your battery and power, and whatnot. And we do have a lovely handle coming all around the edge there for you to grip hold of if you are say flying around at high speeds, or maybe crashing to your impending doom. Around the bottom of this, we've got a bunch of little heat vents for a bit of added decoration. Then round onto the side there, we've got an emergency button, which I suppose would be your parking brake. Another little heat vent in form of vents, and then little dots around the bottom. And towards the back there, even more detailed that you wouldn't normally see because this would be up against the block, or well, just generally hidden away. And to the opposite side, there we go. Some more knobs to play around with, some more green lights, and all the way down underneath it. And there we go. So that's out for what it looks like. Grabbing hold of my character once again, walking all the way over to here. Here's the sheer difference in sizing. This is the hitbox sizes of both the helm and the modded helm. So here it is, we can see all the area that we can't build in once we place down this helm. Then over here, there's the sheer difference, just how little room it takes up in comparison. And one final thing to do, of course, is to show you what it's like on a vehicle, depending on where you place it. So in general, you want to have it up and off the ground to make sure you're not clipping into the vehicle or have you hovering menacing above the ground. But if you were to say just plop it on the roof like so, and just drop my character all the way down, we can just drive this vehicle around like so. It's going to look very, very odd. There we go, we can see my legs are now in the car, and they're going to be hanging down below the roof, but I can still drive this thing around like a proper little helm, and does save on one hell of a lot of room if you do set up the vehicle to incorporate this design. Of course, if you had this built on the bottom layer of a small fighter, you'd have your feet dangling outside of the ship, and you could take damage if any shots, well, hit your legs. But anyway, up to here, deleting this once again. There we go, we're now going to build it up slightly with a few steel blocks. So here we go, with one more extra, putting that on top. Getting it once again. This is simply what it looks like, so our feet are still clipping in the ground, but doesn't look too bad. And off we go once again. In a first person view, looking all the way down, we see how our hands are gripping onto the little joystick, and of course our little thruster controls. They're not going to be moving around at all, there's no animations with this. It's exactly like the standard vanilla helm. As you can see there is the LCD screen telling us our little horizon, and of course how fast we're going. It is very hard to actually see the numbers on there from this view, so you will need to zoom in a little bit, or just put your face closer to the screen. That's what you want to do. And yes, as for that, that's pretty much it for all this thing has to offer. It's just a nifty thing that I thought people might like, especially on very small compact designs, where say you have some plonk going to fill up the whole interior of a vehicle with a bunch of warheads. You know, just slap that anywhere on this vehicle. It's not going to take up any room, it's not going to stick out like a sore thumb, but it will allow you to drive it around without needing to place down a big bulky cockpit that makes the whole area around it unbuildable. So be linked to the description below to download and play around it yourself. Highly recommend you do, because it's a fun little thing to play around with. If you do want to have some mods in your world, very useful to have, and could make some builds a lot more usable. Yes, thank you all for watching, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.